Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Life is People, Network 99. We're all going to die.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of Life is People. Um, May I start by giving all apologies to everybody out there expecting Leach due to time differences, which is I'm sure something that me and Ryan will probably discuss in the next amount of time. Um,
You call it time differences. I call it political, cultural, country, statist bullshit nonsense that is just archaic, a waste of time, a waste of money, a waste of effort. You could be doing so much rather than saying, "Hey, set your clock back because we want you to get the most sunlight." We're human beings, damn it. I can look out the window. I see the sun. I don't need to know what time it is.
but you've
But
got
I'm
to
sorry. Go on, Tim.
But Ryan, we've got to think of the children, Ryan. The children. The children, they need the sunshine in the morning. The farmers from 17th century, they need to have that extra hour. Ryan, come on, where's your heart, man?
So, time differences, whatever. It's still costing. Like I told you, there was an article I read that said, it costs millions of dollars for airline companies because of this time change difference to deal with delays and nonsense. And what good does it do? I mean, I don't really see anything. Like I said, the corn's growing the same same rate as always.
Well, man, as I've said before many times, these are all just ultimate just rules and boundaries are made up by people who are long time dead, man. I mean, the whole time illusion. That was all just around trying to get us all to work in a factory at the same amount of time for the same amount of pay. That was where it's all started, man, by people who are a long time dead.
Yep, and we carry on the tradition out of tradition. So,
But I want to sort of tap into what we were just sort of talking before we went live. It was we were talking about the film Ill Manners, and we were talking about how life is choices, and how that was one film that really kind of dealt with that whole choice issue very sort of strongly. And we were just talking about the two scenes, and the one we didn't really get to. So I thought maybe we'll continue it now. Would be the whole ending scene. I mean the whole issue that was raised at the end of that film. Now, what was your opinion on that on the ending of the film?
which issue specifically are you talking about? I mean, so many. They brought up so many things in ill manners that I don't know. The whole ending in general, just like you said, it's about choices and about things that we do. And one of the things as a writer and as even an audience member that you need to appreciate, and I'm sure if you go back and watch all your favorite films and all the things you love, is you will appreciate the sort of respect that a writer gives his characters and carries out their lives, because the writer is literally God. He is the creator. He is creating their destiny and their plan, and you were just watching that unfold. And to see ill manners in the way that they handle the characters was just so much respect had gone into each character and the way they developed, and you see them grow and you see them learn, and at the same time you still feel that they are just a piece of their society, a in the park, and they take her purse and she ends up fighting back and basically beating the shit out of another girl. And um that's just kind of how it is even that's one of the things about real life, is even when you are on top of your game and you are at that height and that pinnacle of sort of pure happiness and pure I'm going to go out and change and do things and be whatever. you still have those obstacles. You still will get beat down. And if you're not willing to go out and fight for them, then maybe you're just not strong enough to get it. But that's one of the things that it brought up for me at the end was that everyone who, as a character that I, sort of cared about, which is one of the things that I love about movies is when somebody can write a character that I actually care about and I feel for and feel like they're a human being. To see what happened to these characters, knowing that it's not just that gold brick road that leads off into happiness. It's not. It's going to be you're going to be. We're all struggling until the day we die, and that's one of the things we're saying. We're all going to die, and we're going to be struggling until that day, whether monetary or physically or mentally or whatever. The idea of perfection and living that sort of life where of carefree and no worries, it is going to be sort of limited and at the same time based on ourselves. And that's kind of what I got out of the end of the movie was that it's uh, the moments are fleeting, but they are there, and every step, sealing demons again, every step is not just going to be something that is given to you or handed to you or easily won or achieved. It's something you're going to have to work for and live for, and at the end of the day, die for. And that's what I got out of the end of the movie. That's my rant.
I mean, right, the whole "we're gonna die" motto that that kind of it goes even to the people that you just mentioned the people about, like a lot of us, that's why we're called N99, and a majority of us are going to struggle. But I've met, known, and lived amongst people who have been given everything from the day they're born, and the idea that, as we all know, that having money would make any of that better. These were some of the most miserable people I've ever met in my life, and it was kind of like if they just had the understanding, like, do you realize you're going to die at any point, but because they've been given it all, they they'd almost become like the Buddhists would say, the hungry ghost. And there was nothing worse than when I ever saw this, all through the things I've been through in my life, and the worst thing I ever thought I want to be would be a hungry ghost, someone that's just fleetingly going through life, just always just consuming. And that's why I live by that, we're all going to die principle, because it's what, if not, you do become the hungry ghost, and you just don't understand the beauty of this one little chance we've been given on this one existence that we've been given.
Hungry Ghost is probably a great name for it because you are just kind of literally floating and consuming and devouring. And there was one movie with Gary Newman. I can't remember the name of it. I think it had the name. I think it had the color blue in it in the title. I can't honestly. I can't remember it. Like I said, these things just you see so many of them. It's hard to remember them all. But he was a corrupt cop, and he kept getting money, but at the same time, he wasn't a necessarily corrupt person. But at the end of the night, he would go and attach all this money to a sewer that was in his backyard and just kind of he would lift up the sewer and you would see all this money attached to it and he would just put more on it and put it back down in the hole. And he literally said in one of his speeches that he was like, you know what, I don't do this anymore out of the need for the money. I don't need it. He's like, I need to feed the hole. The hole needs to be fed. That is why I keep going and I keep doing it. It's this unnecessary urge inside of you, and it is I'm sure they know that one line, one whatever can lead to two, can lead to three, can lead to four, can lead to five. That is money. You start getting a little bit of it, you're going to go back for more. If you see that you can get more, you're going to go back for more. After a while, it doesn't even become about the money. It becomes this sort of sociopathic idea of more, 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 more. I just need to feed the whole, and there's no reason for it. There's no redemption. coming from it. There's just this incessant universal struggle of I need to do this, I need to do this over and over and over and over. It's what feeds you. It's what gets you up every day. But we're on a podcast called Life is People. So for me, getting up every day, it is people. It's not feeding a hole. It's not gaining money. It's trying to connect and trying to communicate and trying to bring about things that I know, will better ourselves. And it doesn't, we haven't even gotten into specific politics or drawing lines of this has to happen, this needs to be done. I mean, we talk in very vague terms. And that was one of the things, that really draws us in common together is we don't have to draw those lines because it's just not necessary. It's the world is so open and so vague that we can leave it like that and we can live like that and actually prosper. But then when all of a sudden it comes down to these pseudo social political ties of this is how things are supposed to work, you're supposed to do this, you cheated me, you fucked me here, you stole this, you did that, you did this, you did that, where people start going outside of their boundaries to I guess I want to say destroy or, sort of just bring about something social political ties that is inherent in all of us. But if we can get down to that grassroots humanism of, live, survive, laugh, grow, love, communicate, move on, then there's so much open to us, so much more out there. We don't have to draw lines. We don't have to draw boundaries. We can stick within parameters and just expand ourselves. And I think the world would be so much more open if we could do that. Another rant.
No, that's exactly it, Ryan. I mean, I think what has always struck me tragically about life and about people I see, and around me a lot of times, is that people don't realise that at any moment they could be struck by a car, they could be hit by an illness, anything could happen at any moment, and that's it. And I don't know. I was always taught from a very early age. It was, it's not the things you won't do you regret. It's the things you don't do. You won't regret the stupid haircuts you had in your 20s or the stupid ties you wore at school. But what you will regret is if you didn't do all those things, if you didn't expound yourself, because we only get one shot. And as we know, one of our one of the first conversations we ever had was about Bill Hicks, and it's just like someone you think, there you go, it's a person that we all got in common that life can just. It's fleeting. It can disappear at any moment, and people forget that. Even though they see people die all around them, they don't. Because of the culture we live in, we're not. We're not faced with that mortality. One of the great things that artists have always done is trying to shove that mortality back into the society's face and saying, look, this is true things. You're born alone and you're going to die alone, and that's between it. You might as well enjoy and gain as much as you can, which includes, as you were saying, the idea of connecting with people, because if not, then we'll all become little Buddhist monks and we sit in caves, and that's not an existence I want. Ran over.
I don't know how that's enlightenment. But apparently it is considered enlightenment on some levels. But that is so far beyond me because I don't wake up to that. I wake up to people. I wake up to faces driving past me, walking past me, asking me, how much gas I want, how many packs of cigarettes I want. That is the life that I live, the people that I see. And to think that, I've obviously, you've seen Bad Ideas, so I've obviously gone outside of my perimeter as far as mentally and, the inner sanctum and, trying to really think about the soul and the real. I don't know if you've seen the movie Altered States, but one of the big points that was brought up against, at the end of Altered States was what fucking good does that inner do you? You can search your soul as much as you want, but if you're not in this, if you don't wake up to this real world and these people that are exactly like you, what good does it do you? what good does enlightenment and knowing all the answers and knowing everything do you if you get hit by a fucking car tomorrow? It doesn't do anybody any good. You we are all going to die, and that is the thing, is people, I don't think, live in the moment. They don't live in the now. They sort of live for not even tomorrow, but this sort of, a week from now, where it's, I don't know, it's there. They see the happiness, but at the same time they're not willing to put forth the effort at the moment. And they just kind of like the idea of that kind of blanket knowing, 3 days from now I might be doing this, 4 days from now I might be doing this. Whereas me and you know from experience many, many times over that you do this one thing, you move on. If you do something else the next day, you move on. If you keep doing that, 6, 7 days in a row, you're looking at yourself saying, holy shit, what have I done? I've gone and, look at my art slash poetry. I think I'm up at, something over probably 110. And when I started out, I had no intention of doing that. It was just kind of this thing that I had the time to do. I told you my heart is not on my sleeve, it's in my palm. I can easily write this stuff down. I can stop right now and give you prose. I can, do whatever. I choose selectively to do it. But then when I look back at art slash poetry, and I'm like, holy shit, I've got like 113 of those or something like that. Like, I could, put out a book if I wanted to of this type of thing, but it wasn't meant to be that type of thing. It wasn't built up to be this whatever. It was an everyday or every other day, every 3 days, 4 days kind of like, you know, shit's built up, need to get it out, you spend an hour on it, you get it out, and then you find out that next thing you know, you've got a huge stack of things, and it's really amazing to go back and look at yourself and see how you've grown and see what you've said and see how it can not only relate to you but anybody. And a lot of people, I don't know, they don't seem to get the whole day to day thing. It's always tomorrow, next week. I'll just sit around, watch TV today. Everything will be fine. Whatever. It's my day off. Out there struggling just to work and communicate and get these projects done, and then try to see something from these projects that we put something so much time into, and see an audience of some sort. And we do it, though. We keep going, and I mean, me and you are obviously proof of that. And there's so many people, Robert Leach included, so many people out there who we miss you, Robert Leach. I wish you were on right now. I so want to talk to you. But
Yeah.
that's I see the history that you've done and the things that you've done and how you keep going, and nothing hinders you, because you're just like us. We all have that thing that's just keep going, keep building, keep moving, keep working. And we have too much to say, and that's really what it is we just have too much to say, and we have to do our day-to-day jobs just to try to maintain that.
I mean, it's a bit like, that's why I put the tweet out, that they live. We live in a society, particularly me and you, Ryan, the Western first world that we live in, where we're conditioned with sleep, 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 sleep. That's all
Get
we're conditioned.
married, get married, have a baby, get married.
Yeah, consume, 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 obey.
Well, the whole marriage thing was one of the things that Bad Ideas was kind of about, was this whole idea of love, and that you are supposed to find it at a very young age over here. You are supposed to get married. You are supposed to reproduce. Somebody's supposed to go into the army. Everybody's supposed to pay taxes. Everybody's eventually going to die, and then they're going to pay taxes on their death. And that's kind of the idea over here. And you know, 18 with already having one kid, and having 3 kids by the time you're 21, and or 24, or even 27, 30. I mean, 3 kids by then, like, that's, man. Like it's the whole thing about, they live was that whole idea of marriage, reproduce, or not the whole thing, but that was one of the things in it was that's kind of the message that's sent to people is you're supposed to marry and reproduce as soon as you can. And uh, I don't know, some of us stay awake at night and we say, why? And we sit there and think about it. Hours and hours and hours. And we do all these things trying to figure out, where this idea came from and why everyone was so quick to buy into it. And obviously, I have people that I know that are, I don't want to say guilty of it, but they do it. They did it. They got married at a young age. They had kids at a young age. I don't blame them. I don't hold anything against them. I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. But at the same time, they're, just like the two-party system over here. I'm going to draw a line right now against this two-party system. You're supposed to be a democracy, and at the same time, it's either you vote this party or that party. Well, we all know that it's one person holding two puppets. So I'm not going to play that game. And at the same time, that game is one that, somehow monopolizes my life. Hold up your hands. That's how it is. There's hand check, America. Hand check.
Two thumbs.
And it's, yeah, and it's not even about me hating anyone or doing or saying like, I hate this, I hate that, I hate these people, I hate this party, I hate all this crap. Like it's just the way it is over here. And to think that, however many people we have in this country, and you're going to break shit down to two parties, which literally comes down to two people. How are you going to, how are you going how are you supposed to vote on that? To think that there are two people out there that, feel my views, and it's
Well,
that's just how it is. And for some reason, like I said, the people just I don't want to say the people buy into it, but I think there's a lot of manipulation going on in some facet that I'm not, particularly ready to call out because I don't know too much about it. But I think there just is a lot of, sort of propaganda and sort of, way things are supposed to be type stuff going on, and for a lot of us, it doesn't work and it doesn't make sense. And I think when you look in the bigger picture, it doesn't work and it really doesn't make sense.
no. I mean, that's. I mean, I'm sure that one of the things I don't know. I mean, I'd imagine that me and you have in common because I know it's in common with a lot of creative people I read and listen to and inspired by myself. Is that I always had it inside of me. I didn't know what it was. If you'd asked me at 5, I wouldn't have known what creativity was. But I had something inside me. I had a way I wanted to express myself. I wanted to draw a tree this way. I wanted to do this way, whatever it was. But then it was always kind of chipped away at you, and chipped away at you, and chipped away at you. And I mean, we've all been in. I've been in employment. We've all worked in shitty jobs. And once you're in that kind of place, they don't want any of this creativity in you because like you just said, society around us one of not being creative, being in the mainstream, keeping in the herd. And I think by the nature of what we when you are creative in that, it becomes really frustrating. That's why I think some of the best creativity comes out of really conformity, because that's what I wanted to talk to Robert tonight about, was especially in a city like New York or a big city, is that you have a lot of conformity going around, but out of that can become the most creative thoughts ever, because these people are so pushed down in that creative element. And it's like what it's the point of when you do feel creative, it will come out in any way. But the trouble is that, like you said, like the film they did tap through, like the Seeing didn't say, that it's all just illusions, and we're surrounded by these illusions that are sent to distract us, and it's this distraction that keeps us into this whole distraction of, oh, don't worry, like you said, we're all going to live forever. Everything's going to be hunky dory. It's going to be deers run out into the woods and they all become fairies, and it's all this bullshit that we're surrounded by. But that's why we talk about it a lot of the time. It's that knowing that we're all going to die, because it's that basically wakes you, as you said in your film, and then you wake up. Because if you can understand that everything around you is just an illusion and that you are going to die, then there's no other option to then you wake up.
Well, one of the things about the last monologue in Bad Ideas was the whole idea of, um, you can spend your entire life asking yourself, who did what happened when, who loved who killed what, who did this, who was real, who was not. And that's kind of what we do. And as soon as me and you and people like us stop asking ourselves those questions, that dream is dead. And that is when you wake up. And there's even people today where you're talking about distractions. I've had arguments with people about football over here in America because people love football. And one of the things, the statistics, if you look up football, there is, I can't spout off exactly how many minutes it is, but there is literally something like, I think 7 minutes of actual play time for 2 hours of you watching a football game on TV here in America. So you will be watching a football game for 2 minutes and you will only see 7 minutes of action. And somebody even got mad enough to call me out on the source of that. And I didn't know the source at the time, but then I got home and I looked it up and it was the New York Times. And they had gone through and said, something like 11% or 7%. One of a very good percentage of a game is spent on a coach's face. You're watching something for 2 hours, 11% or 7 to 11% of that time is spent on a coach's face. That's not football. Like, that's kind of why I hold films and movies at such a high value and a ranking to me, and that's why I kind of hold the mainstream very beneath me because 90 minutes is a lot of minutes to me. And, I've seen movies that have taught me and shown me things that, I would never have dreamed possible in 90 minutes. And then I've had a lot of my time wasted in 90 minutes. And that is one of the coins that you flip with movies and really anything. But I can get anything. Somebody will say this movie's funny, and I'm like, you know what? I can get funny out of a great movie that's 90 minutes long, or I can get funny out of a shit main on my own. I do that on a day-to-day basis, and every day people make me laugh, and I don't sort of need that mundane movie reality. I can create my own world, and a lot of people around me are very good at creating their own worlds. But then at the same time, I see like a mainstream movie, and I see the comedy that they have, and I kind of feel like, for 90 minutes, I'm sure I could get more laughs hanging out with a good friend because my friends are just as funny as all these millions of dollars that were put into, whatever. And for me, it really comes down to time because, we're all going to die. So 90 minutes here, 90 minutes there might not be a big deal to you, but I've seen, you know, I can't. I'm looking at my stack of movies right now. I have a three-tier dresser that is filled with movies. On top of it is a stack of DVDs. Next to it is a two-tier dresser with a stack of DVDs on it. Underneath my TV is 32 Takashi Miike movies. 32 movies from one director. And honest to God, I love that guy so much. You Tim talked about 13 Assassins, and I have not seen that one yet. But I own 32 movies by Takashi Miike because he is worth 90 minutes of my time. He will blow my fucking world in 90 minutes. He has ruined so many of my days in 90 minutes that it's mind blowing that other people don't. And I think that's one of the things that drives people like me and you is that we just don't see enough of it out there.
Well, I mean, I'm driven by the, I keep sort of saying I'm driven by the concept that I know that, man, do you know, I could wake up I don't know if I'm going to wake up tomorrow. Tonight I'll put my head on that pillow, or if I'm not chatting to you till 6 o'clock in the morning, but I'll put my head on the pillow and I don't know where I'm going to wake up.
No, we don't. So live it. I mean, I remember. I think it was my senior year in high school. There was a girl, a grade below me. She was in one of my classes, and she actually she died and got hit by a. This is a terrible story, but she got hit by, I believe, a semi because she was trying to save a field mouse. Uh, some mouse had like wandered somewhere, and I guess she picked it up and tried to cross the road, ended up getting hit by this car, and uh, that is people, that is us, that is the way life pans out. We don't know what happens, we can't understand it. It's just that one moment that will carry you away, and a lot of us are still left here wondering, what the fuck is going on. It is every day. It is, if I don't get it out now, I'm not going to get it out. And I think we all just want people to know, and that's kind of why we live like that.
Well, yeah, yeah, exactly. Because it's kind of like it's tapping into a constant resource. I mean, I never sort of feel like I'm at the bottom of my well. I mean, I've gone through periods of, uh, say, when I haven't, especially when writing, when I've been through periods when I remember being at university, people saying to me, don't you ever have writer's block? And I was like, no, I'm the other way around. I don't ever have writer's block. All I ever have is times when I just put the pen down completely out of choice and say, today for now I've had enough of writing, and maybe I want to spend 6 months writing music or something. But I never have writer's block ever.
No, I have never had. No, that's that concept to me is just kind of like I don't know, like just trying too hard. I mean, obviously the world of movies, writing, music, whatever, I'm sure it's cool and really glamorous, but uh that wasn't, the art world, too. That wasn't why it was built. It wasn't built to be cool. It wasn't built to make money. It wasn't built for all those reasons. It was built on truth and truth and expression and just trying to get something out there and to get people talking. And somewhere along the way, not on, I think the industry went one way, and then people kind of just followed with it and didn't started not questioning it because they kind of went that way too, of they didn't know how to appreciate it and they didn't know how to feel about it, but they knew it was worth something. They knew it was worth money, or it was worth talking about, or whatever. It's the whole glamour thing, and even nowadays it's YouTube and going viral, and Vine and Instagram and getting the followers. And but like the rapper Soul said, a day feels like a week feels like a month, and that's really kind of how it is. When I post something on my WordPress for art/poetry, I will get 7 likes on WordPress for that piece, and then maybe I'll gain 3 to 5 new followers based off of that. And that is honest to God only for probably an hour, hour and a half, and I get the notifications in my email. After that hour and a half, that kind of those numbers die down. I don't really get anybody. I don't get any contact. So in the back of my mind, I'm knowing, if I go off and do another one of these, this hype is going to build up for another hour and a half. I'm going to keep gaining more and more people. But it's just kind of how it is. It's this day to day. Sorry about that. But it's this day to day, force that you just kind of. But it's a day to day thing that you kind of have to. It's like if you want to get the audience, you want to get the people. We're so overstimulated, Videodrome style, that we need something pushed and something new in front of our eyes every single day. And it's for artists and people to try and balance this whole idea of I'm an artist, but at the same time I'm a business. that's providing a product for people, and people want this product lickety split. They I see people when somebody comes out with a new video or a new something. People love it, people hop on it, and I'm exactly one of those people. I love hearing new stuff, I love going into it, but at the same time I love going back to stuff. I love hearing, going back and really appreciating things. But for an artist nowadays, they really have to get on that social media, that Twitter, that Facebook. Every 5 minutes, they have to be updating. They have to be talking about their projects, talking about their things, because if they don't, one of their 20,000 followers might not catch it, or 10% of the followers might not catch it, or people might not be going to check out Robert Leach on Twitter and iTunes and all the various places that you can find Robert Leach's great music at. We miss you, Robert Leach. We wish you were here right now. We're sorry.
But I mean, I, I I think you're absolutely right because I often, as much as I think it's quite ironic really, because I spend a lot of my time trying to build N99 and I'm dealing with a lot of real on the edge technology. I mean, the whole MaidSafe and that whole rig, almost rig, how they're doing that. It's all very, it is. I realise it. It's very edgy, technological, forefront of everything else. But all the time, and as much as I delve as much as I can into that, all the time in the back of my head is thinking, man, I remember being on that beach with just coconut trees and a wooden mutton house. And those guys, that's real life, That's the same life. It's the same rock. It's the same ecosystem. It's the same planet as us. And that is, and when you're in those conditions, as I've been fortunate enough to, and I do count it as fortunate enough to be in, you do understand what, as I kept talking about in the previous podcast, you understand then what this whole we're all going to die concept is, because life is, like we're talking about in this conversation, the more mortality of us is hidden away. And that's what is interesting at the moment, because technology is going to lead us to a point very soon where it's going to be very possible that we're going to be living 200 years, 250 years. Our brains might be down processed into a microchip, and our memories may be living in some other reality somewhere. But these are the edges we're going to go on. But even with that, I mean, I've had discussions with people saying, would you want to live 1,000 years? Well, for me, I'd love to, because I don't think my well of creativity will ever be tapped. So I could happily live for 1,000 years, because I think it is understanding that we're all going to die that makes me want to live forever, really. I want to live, I have no desire to die. I want to live forever, my man. I want to be the Highlander, the only one.
The Highlander. No, but there is, there's no problem with wanting to live forever. The problem is with thinking you're going to live forever. And
Exactly.
that's where, a lot of, this whole, I'm from the YOLO generation, the you only live once, but at the same time, it's kind of this stupidity that, and I don't mean that in the sense that these people are not intelligent or that they're somehow lower than me. They are exactly equal to me, and I feel exactly the same as them. But they are going about it in a way that's just I don't I hate to say selfish, but it's very self-indulgent. It's very, me in the moment by myself. You only live once. Whereas I think there's so much more in the idea of me here in Waterville, Ohio, next to the cornfields and whatever, and you, Islander, out in Scotland, and um, there's there is that certain connection, and just that like I said, we don't have to draw lines. We don't. We're very. I know. We barely talked about music, me and you, but I know we're both extremely musical people, but we don't have to sit here and be like, oh, well, do you like this band? Oh, well, do you like that band? Like, because I know just from the few things that I've seen you post or post to me, I loved all of them. Like, they were very eclectic, and that's definitely my style. Whereas I don't, I'm not gonna be like, hey, have you ever heard of the Rolling Stones? Jumpin' Jack Flash, man, that's where it's at. Like, we have very deep pockets of how we look for things and how we find things, and that's it's all in due time, all in good time. Like, we're not, um, we don't have to necessarily nitpick each other's style like that, because there's just a whole nother level of very weird sort of the universal struggle, I guess, is what I keep saying.
Well, man, you're absolutely correct. I mean, I think I've mentioned this before, that man, I remember telling when I was back in the day before before the internet. Oh, young man. But it was back in the day before the internet that
Well, what's funny is that we're both on Google Plus right now, and we're probably the most technologically unadvanced. We are not into this sort of thing. We don't keep up to date on the new iPods. The new is I'm sure iPod by now is probably an archaic term, but but I never had one, and that's, for some reason, that's just like, one of those things, like I said, that universal struggle, that somehow connection between me and you, that and lots of other people that I'm sure that just kind of see technology as like it's advancing far beyond ourselves, and we're slow. The ones who utilize it seem to be slowly catching up to it, but that's only because it's, every time they build something, they're doubling, their intelligence and their capacity, because they're using the intelligence they had before, and it's constantly going, just zzz. It's like the Energizer Bunny, just zzz, constantly going.
well, that's mate. It sort of ties into what we were talking about earlier before. I think a lot of people, especially in the tech world, they're almost like they are like hungry ghosts. They're just always just consuming whatever product comes their way without understanding that this same, I don't know, this whatever it is, this technological wave that we're riding at the moment is opening up so many great avenues, and the possibilities of what that's going to bring if you use it almost as a mind, if you use it in the right way. If instead of being a hungry ghost and you're just going, oh, I must get the new Apple product, I must get the new Samsung XX, whatever, I must get, this hungry consuming, instead of going, wait, this technology, this, it's opening up. It's exactly the same way as I've mentioned before, as it was to me by no mistake that the artists and the people who were the dissidents at the time got hold of the printing press, because they understood what was being offered in front of them. And I think creative people always, I don't know, they always, like me, having maybe a yin yang approach to technology. I have a very strong attachment to it, and I love the doors it can open and the possibilities that it's going to bring to us. But a young end of it, thinking, man, if this is going to turn us all into hungry ghosts, then it's almost a bad thing, because. But you can't. That's all choices. As we go back to the beginning of the conversation, it's all choices. People have to make their own choices with how they approach technology, with how they approach life in general. Are you a hungry ghost, or are you someone who understands that we're all going to die and living in the moment, rounded human being? That's a choice we all have to make.
Oh, it is. Even I think Tesla might have been the only one who, he didn't patent a lot of his inventions, because he moved on to the next one. And one of the things about technology and the way that people invent things is, somebody like Mark Zuckerberg, who does something like Facebook, doesn't really grasp the entire potential of said medium, or what can exactly be done with it, and instead they kind of get suckered into this world of money and selling ads and doing whatever, and then somebody comes out with Twitter, and then somebody comes out with Instagram, and then you got Pinterest, and you've got all these different things that they come out so fast that it's so hard to find the potential in all of them. One of the things you can liken it to is, a guitar or effects pedals for guitars. Say you have a guitar and you play that guitar, just the guitar in an amp for, 2 years. Then all of a sudden you get one effects pedal. Say you play that effects pedal for 2 years, then all of a sudden you buy five effects pedals. Are you gonna, you're obviously, more about that one effects pedal that you played for 2 years than you will ever know about those five effects pedals, because you're gonna be too busy bouncing back and forth and trying to figure out new things and doing whatever, and you didn't spend the time to sit there and think, what exactly is possible with what is in my hands. And that's one of the things about technology, is that it repeats itself so fast, and frog leaps itself and just jumps over and over and over, and it's building and building and building, that by the time you get to the new version, the music program that I use to make my music is probably a good 3 years outdated, and probably four or five versions outdated. And I don't think anyone's even. I don't feel like people have utilized what was done in the earlier versions. They're just too worried about the updates, and oh, I can do this now, and I can do this, and I can do this. Whereas I haven't found myself to be exactly perfect in what was already there. Why would I go off and venture into new territory if I can't find, some sort of solid ground? And then I think nowadays you kind of find people who, I think a lot of people sound the same. I think a lot of, I say I'm a rapper and a producer on my Twitter, which means every beat producer follows me. Anybody who makes rap beats will follow me instantly, trying to sell me their rap beats. And like I said, I click on everything. I listen to everything. I do listen to these people because, and I sigh a lot. I'm just like, like, all right, let's hear it. I can't wait because I know you're gonna impress me. And then I click it, and I'm just like, oh my god, it's just somebody who's got hundreds of beats. They all sound the same. It's uh, southern drum rolls, and just these sort of boombastic rap beats that are just kind of booming and basic, and not a whole lot of work done to them. And that's that I come to expect it, but they keep following me, and that's just what they do, and over and over and over again. And that's kind of all I hear is, the way technology is people just hop on that bandwagon, and eventually they kind of all sound the same, but they're all trying to fight each other and say they sound unique. And then somebody like me, like, I really don't care. I've done my research, I've done my homework, I can do a lot of things, and I don't have to toot my own horn. I really don't. I try not to. I have a lot of work that speaks for itself, and I have a lot more work to put out that speaks for itself. And uh, yeah, when I hear all these people sounding the same, I'm just like, man, I'm just disappointed. I want to love it. I want to love you guys. I want to support all of you. I want to do everything I can for you, but I don't believe in it, a lot of it. And that's why seeing somebody like the Ceiling Demons, and even talking to George last week about his album, was just amazing. I thought that was one of our best shows. Like we've talked about, I think that definitely was one of our best shows. He very insightful into the music process, and the people that I see, I don't think could talk that long. But George, man, I think we could have him on every week, and I think he'd be talking to us about music. And I would totally love to hear it. And I'm sure Robert Leach, if Robert Leach was here, I would love to hear about his musical influences. And I wanted to bring up Zapp and Roger Troutman, and George Clinton Funkadelic, because I really can hear a good history behind his music and an influence. Whereas with this technology the way it is today, people just get on and play things, and they don't, they hear what's on the radio, and that's their influence. And oh man, that's heartbreaking.
Well, that right, that's from the angle of, there's this hungry. That's what I was trying to tap into by saying the hungry ghost mentality with everything. I mean, they've been. It's very easy to have a generation. I notice it a lot. And I'm not just saying a young generation. I think that there are a lot of culture around me at the moment. Is this idea that instantly you can make magic. because you're told not to put any hours into anything, not to put any effort into anything, that you can just instantly produce, and that's what technology will give you, instant happiness. But then, I mean, it's amazing to me. I like to go back, and I mean, one of my favourite artists is Bruegel, and he's got a lot of his paintings are all about the heaven and the hell, and heaven is just full of all these people instantly taking these instant pleasures that. It's just illusions, as the ceiling demons talk about. It's delusions that the things are just there just to give you instant pleasures, and rather than the true meaning of we're all going to die, and the true meaning of understanding what it is to be a human being is that whatever you do, whether it's whether you're a builder or whether you're a car manufacturer or whether you're an engineer or you just I don't know you make bits of paper, it's about the effort. You have to put work and work and work and work in. And the trouble is we've got a whole culture of people that are this hungry ghost mentality that think everything is instant. And then obviously, if you don't put any work in, yeah, I could pick up a guitar and know how to put a C chord together, and every song will sound like there's no effort. Whereas you can tell, like you were saying, someone like Robert Leach. I don't know Robert. You can tell, you can see by his bio and by listening to him. This is a man who obviously has put hours and hours and hours and weeks and weeks and weeks into his craft, and it shows. And it's the I mean I think this is it 1,500 hours you have to become that they actually say that your muscle memory can understand how to play the piano properly or guitar properly. It takes that long for your muscle memory to but we're not the but the culture isn't one of that anymore. So I was trying to say it's one of hungry ghost mentality of instant consumption, instant hit, instant pleasure, instant, which is a strange mentality because these people think that is life, which is a really good way to live in the moment, but not understanding that you're just hungry ghosts. You just all you want to do is consume. Rant over.
I don't know. My rants have been pretty long. My last one was pretty good, but um, no, someone we're not just kissing ass here, Robert Leach, but we're you are a good example of somebody who I believe the German word is Offenbahn, and it's to transcend and to preserve. And that's, I think, one of the things that people should be about. I want to hear when I hear something, I want to hear the future and I want to hear the history, and I want to hear the past and the present. I want to hear it all. I want to hear, that you have done the history, you have done the work to you have learned from others before you, because if we're not learning from others before us, if we're just being born nowadays and thinking that we're on top of our game, meanwhile you look in the newspaper and see all the ridiculous ill manners, exactly, all the ridiculous stuff that's still going on in the world, to think that we're not going to be considered barbaric in 100 years time, you're really fooling yourself. And to think that you have nothing to learn from the past is ridiculous. And somebody like me, you, Robert, you can hear the history. At the same time, you can hear the present. At the same time, you can hear the future, because you can hear somebody who's experimenting, going into new boundaries, trying to take things further. And what that's going to do is inspire somebody else from the next generation, and they're going to take things even further. And it's just going to keep going in a line of people going further and further and further and further, and until artists do catch up with technology and we are able to go further and faster than the human mind is able to grasp. But at the same time, there's so many of us, and the mainstream really does kind of hinder a lot of things, that it takes a long time for the underground to catch up to people. How long ago was Ill Manners made?
Oh, I think it's 3 4 years ago.
So 3 4 years ago, I had never heard of it over here. I swear to you, if I ask anybody I know, they've never heard of it. And the only reason I know about it is I'm in Waterville, Ohio, and you from Scotland told me about it. And throughout my history of film and things that I've seen and the things that I love, you know, I'm someone who would be open to that movie, but at the same time, without the connection from me to you, I never would have heard of that movie. That's because that's how much the mainstream, bogs down on top of things that, other people might actually like. And that's one of the things I love about Network 99. Is I was just saying to somebody about YouTube, how, if they wanted to look up Life as People, the first thing that they're going to find, I think I've tried to do it before, was I think it was some song or something like that. And Life is, uh,
That's the
People,
stuff.
like the podcast. Well, it's like, it's actually sort of, if I don't say, net N99, Life is People, etc., like, kind of hard to find the podcast. Like, it's a very specific thing nowadays, where you have to give people the name, the three letters, the whatever, or the title of the movie, or they're not going to find it ever, unless somebody slaps it in front of them, which is kind of what you have to do nowadays, is just slap things on people's faces and be like, you know what? If I don't put this in front of you, I know you're never going to find it, because we're all bogged down by this. Check my Facebook, watch this movie, love this song, X Factor, X Factor, feed the whole.
No, exactly, and that's exactly the picture I drew that's on my Twitter page. All the nodes gathered together. That's what I love about what is happening right now. Whether N99 happens, in a year's time or 2 years time or whatever, the idea that we're seeing this gathering together of people who are like-minded, that has always happened. My whole life is one of true reflection that like-minded people have always come together. And seeing this on a bigger scale is immense. That's why it's no accident that people, that are some of my favourite musicians. I've been honoured. Every podcast we've had so far has been honoured, because, and I've had people that I know are gonna, are going to shape the world. I really do think that. I do think the Ceiling Demons are going to be. I say it to them all the time. Like they are. They're a vanguard of a generation of new bands, because they're
Easily,
being.
easily.
Yeah, and I'm not blowing smoke up their asses when I say that, and I'm not blowing smoke up their asses when I say about Robert Leach or or even Ada. I mean, I tell you, 10 years down the line, man, people are going to look back and go, wow, you had a because her concept's going to change the world. And people are going to look back in 20 years down the line and go, oh, there was a time before they had the village.
No,
These
well, yeah, these are the things, it is Network 99, and at the same time, it isn't Network 99. If Network 99 isn't there, that doesn't mean that I'm not going to want to do this. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to want to talk to you. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to want to be involved with the Ceiling Demons as much as I can, or Ada, or Fold, or Robert, or, anybody who really wants to. And right now we fly the N99 banner, and we really want to work for that. We really want to get this together. Hope we do what we can to make it happen, but at the same time, I know, and I'm pretty sure that that if that banner has to change, it will. Once upon a time, Bitcoin was the thing. Safecoin, now it's looking like maybe, that's, Napster at one time was the thing. But this is just how things change, they evolve, and especially with the way the technology goes, just like Ada, picking her village, you can't necessarily put that. We live in such an advanced, rapidly changing time, that you can't put a nail specifically on something until you are ready to move. And until then, you fly a banner. And that's kind of what you have to do, is you fly your banner until the moment is right where you can stick the flag in, you can make the moment. But you do have to build, you can't be afraid of that change. And Network 99, it's not afraid of that change, that because it's about people, and life is people, and we're all going to change, and we're going to grow together, and our ideas are going to grow together. And that is really what's going to keep us as a whole and as a community. And even here in Waterville, like, obviously, we've had talks and whatever, but we haven't had, we haven't gone into specifics. Like I've said, we haven't drawn lines or anything. And still here I am spouting my rant, very into it because I know it's not this just, I know it's not a political just bullshit banner and message. I know that it's all about the people that are behind it. And I really believe in the people that are behind it. And I know that they believe in me because I'm here in Waterville and you're off in what I call the world. And, and you're talking to me. And, I was kind of plucked from nowhere. And that's awesome because I feel like I've put in my work and put in my due, and I'm sure there's so many like us who feel that we've done our work, we've done research, and uh, we want to continue doing it, and we don't want to feel bogged down by any outside things. And that's kind of what Network 99 is to me. It is the people, it is the connection, and we will grow, and that's Network 99 to me.
Yeah, no, no.
Wow.
I mean, you're right, because what's connected us all like it is life is people. I mean, we've often said, I mean, if you gave every one of the people, and I'm sure I could speak on my behalf, and hopefully I'm not treading on anyone's toes because it's been something that's been brought up in the podcast, but we're not in this for the wealth, we're not in for the fame, we're just in it because we just have this love for what we do. This thing what we call is called creative. This element of just expressing ourselves, or what we're really talking about. What the whole of this podcast is probably about is we're all going to die, and it's that kind of when you know the fact and you love life that
How
much,
did we go from how did we go from trees are people to we're all gonna die?
because because we're all going to die. The trees are going to live on, my man. That's the truth. The trees will be here well after we're gone.
I'm sorry, but go on. What were you saying?
No, I was saying the fact that it's what drives us all. You know what I mean? Is that we have that drive just to be. I don't know. I want to. It's that whole. I don't know what the future is going to hold, and it's go back to the ceiling demons. They write the line. The future is unwritten, and none of us know what's going to be. But I think it's really great to be living in exciting days. That's why I'm not one of those people that I've met. I don't know whether you have them around. It's one of those things I've often meant to ask you. Really. I'm sure you're surrounded by the real want to be like, oh well, I would love to go and live down in the jungle and live amongst nature, man. Those tribes are really enlightened people, and those people always, yeah, you know what I'm talking about, then.
I had a oh god, I quick story. I was waiting. Some actress was supposed to be in my movie. I had reached out to the university and said I need actors. I need an actress. She was supposed to meet me at this coffee shop. I'm sitting there alone, and all I can hear is people in the background talking. And it was, oh my god, it was such a terrible experience. And all I'm trying to do is wait for this actress, and I just keep hearing people. And one of them says something like, I think I think something had broken out in Haiti at the time. I think this was when like the Haiti crisis was going on, and literally in the back of my head, I think I had my eyes closed, and all I hear is this voice that's like, I think God is telling me that I need to go to Haiti and just help out. And I'm sitting there like with my eyes closed trying to ignore the world, and that's what I hear, and I'm just like, oh my god, like I fucking hate you. Like like if you want to go and do it. Don't blame it on God. Like don't bring him into it, okay? Like and one of the things here is like it kind of makes me sound like an asshole, I guess, but there's always something. We're that country of America that's we have to have our foot in everything that's happening everywhere across the world. So if something happens in any country, it's are you giving? Huh? Are you giving? Are you doing anything? Do you care? And then you give your money to a charity that you later find out actually doesn't give money or they charge so much and your money's not actually going to them and you're really not doing any good at all. And it's really bass backwards, but it's kind of PC. It's over PC to where I just brought up the Haiti incident, and I don't even honestly can't remember much about it because every week we have something here that is just shoved in front of our faces and shoved down our throat, and we're supposed to remember everything, but at the same time we know they're not giving us all the facts. We know it's just kind of this uh whatever it is that they feed us, but it's kind of far from the truth because it's not being told from the people. And but at the same time, it's like I said, are you giving, are you uh doing whatever?
Let's,
You having trouble
let's,
there?
let's go, carry on.
Is it the bass in my voice? Did it knock the Did my
Yeah,
very
man.
white voice knock the computer off of the table?
Yes, my friend, you're such a man.
No, and I hate to sound well, I hate to sound pessimistic about all these things, but I really feel like an observer because I don't partake in any of this, and I really don't try to subject myself to any of this stuff. But at the same time, that is what gives me this outsider perspective to where I see something and I'm just like, I don't even know is what information is trying to be conveyed to me anymore, whether it's information or emotion or politics or propaganda or agenda or it's very unfactual. And it seems that if you read a newspaper around here, I often one of the things we're kind of raised on is those five questions: who, what, where, when, why. If I read a newspaper article around here, you will most often not get the why, and like I said, names and dates, and it's just kind of a very weird thing that it's uh, I don't know, acts of crime and stuff seem to be abnormal, but at the same time, they happen throughout the world, so it is very normal. But we don't get down to the why over here. Like, I don't know. I don't even know where I'm going with this at this point, but I don't know. We have a lot of I don't know. It's all very perspective, and I'm a very perspective based person, and I think that's why it's hard for me to understand some of these things that happen in this country is because it's from a perspective that I do not understand, and I don't know. It's very. I feel like I'm getting it's like a they live type of thing. I feel like I have my sunglasses on and I'm reading the newspaper article and it's telling me all these things, but at the same time, it's just this tiny little message that's this big. And I don't. Maybe it's me.
Well, we did quickly tap upon it before we went live, didn't we? I mean, from the perspective from where I see it is, as I mentioned, I mean, it's a very easy option in today's society. And next Sunday, we'll be talking more about this from Rachel from Calm, but it's a very easy option in today's culture and society to say there's a chemical. And where's that chemical come from? For a corporation whose only end is to make money, by definition. I know that's I'm not trying to be any political thing. I'm just saying a corporation, by definition, is there to make money to give chemicals to people that are mind-altering drugs. I mean, and then to me, it's wrong. It's no surprise to me that you read some of the stats about the amount of people that do commit some of the atrocities in your part of the world. That the high percentage, and I don't know exactly, but high percentage of them are all on, as we mentioned, chemicals, whatever it is, whatever the drug it may be, but a chemical solution.
Well, even if a doctor prescribes you something, we're going to have Rachel on from Calm, and we've talked about having an episode on depression with the ceiling demons. And I think one of the things that comes with that is that idea of chemicals and pills, and does that work? And even if you're a doctor, and if they want to prescribe you something, they'll say, oh, it'll cause this sort of side effect, but at the same time, you have to go into these underlying. I grab my head like this because it's a headache to think
Robert's
of
here,
the
man.
societal ties that are. Robert's here.
Yes. Hey, Robert. Carry on, Ryan. You were saying.
Well, real quick about just chemicals and or we got heavy real quick, didn't we? There's him.
You're deep, brother, deep.
No, well they don't. Yeah, probably they. No, but if you go in and a doctor prescribes you something, he tells you, whatever side effects, and where did he get that list of side effects from? Well, apparently, we're supposed to believe that somebody who probably has taken the drug gave him that list of side effects, but at the same time, it's this whittled down of, anxiety, depression, constipation. Whose ideas of these adjectives are these? Like, obviously, the doctors who are trying to sell you the product. They don't put you in a room with somebody who's taken that drug and ask you, you know, do you have any questions for him because you're going to be on the same drug that he is. These doctors haven't taken that drug. They can't necessarily tell you. They can only read from their list. And to me, it's just kind of a very weird thing, especially if you're going to be government approved and supposedly in charge of these medicals, and just kind of passing them out and saying, you know what, these are going to make you happy. And I mean,
Hey,
fuck, if a doctor tells me that.
hey, Robert. Hey, Robert. I can see you. He was definitely there, man.
I still see him, can't hear him, but
Well, we know he's there. But yeah, man. I mean,
oh,
so
he left.
man, I mean, but, Joe, it's kind of it's strange really because one of those dichotomies what we've talked about before is some of the um, some of the greatest music has been written by people that have been chemically induced, even by prescribed pills. That's one of the if we're going to be real, man. If we're going to be real. I mean, some of the greatest songs ever. I mean, have been written by people being way off their chemical ends.
Oh yeah, I mean, even on a prescription level, I mean, I'm sure you'd be able to write something, but I don't know. It's just a matter of trusting yourself or trusting other people. And like I said, when it comes down to those side effects, and the whole kind of propaganda behind it of selling and making money off pharmaceuticals, and it's kind of like, well, are you actually trying to help me, or are you just pissed off because I'm going to a weed dealer down the street? Like, what is the deal here?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So have you ever been to New York yourself? Right.
No, I generally stick around the cows and the cornfields and yeah, the squirrels. I have
Well,
never been to New York though.
I went to New York when I was 11, and it's really funny because people always say to me over here, like, "What's your memories of New York?" And I say, obviously, say, "Oh, I remember seeing the Twin Towers, which is, as a kid blew me away." But what I remember more was the Staten Island Ferry and the smell of every burger bar, halal meat, all these different smells that I'd never smelled before.
So good smells, bad smells.
Well, you know New York, man. I mean, it's got one of each. A lot of each.
Well, I mean, what do you remember? What do you remember most? The smell of hobos or
I remember the smell
Coney
of
Island?
Yeah, I remember particularly the smell of frying meat. You know, from all sorts, from burgers and hot dogs, and yeah, there's a lot of meat smell. And I remember the smell of Staten Island Ferry, that docky, fumy. Man, I remember just being packed. I remember going across on that Staten Island Ferry and just being, man, this is ridiculous. This relentless
Hey,
traffic to and from.
killing and slaughtering is as American as apple pie in baseball.
But I remember one of the vivid memories was going up the top of Twin Towers, and you've got to bear in mind I was only 11, and looking down over helicopters and being mind blown by it, like, whoa, there's helicopters below me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I've never been there, but I heard it was a lot of fun before Giuliani got there. That's what I heard.
Hey, Robert. Hey, Robert, can you hear
Hmm.
me? I can see him. Hey, Robert, can you hear me?
Tim, you're scaring him. Try not to sound so creepy.
Is it just me? I
Hello,
can,
Robert. I can see you.
can you hear us, Robert? Oh,
This thing make it so difficult to get on here.
hey, man.
What's going on,
Oh my
man?
God, I can hear him.
Right, man, if you can hear me, all apologies for earlier on. That was we spoke about it. It was time differences, but it's great that you're here, man. How you doing?
Oh man. Can you hear him?
I think I can hear the microphone is on. I can definitely see him. I can definitely see him, Robbie boy.
I heard him say something.
I think he was talking about his microphone being hard to. It's just Google Plus. It's just it's horrendous.
Well, no, what gets me is like I have my $200 microphone that I use for my movie, and I can't use it on Google Plus. Apparently, that's too difficult. So, if you have a real microphone, like it's kind of a bitch to actually get on Google Plus. But if you have, I have this old microphone. It actually sounds pretty nice. I've been going through some of the podcasts, but I think this cost me like $20 like 5 years ago on Amazon, and it's a cardio. I don't know, kind of a BS mic, but it was super cheap and it works great on the podcast. But at the same time, my awesome microphone does not work on the podcast. Same thing with my video camera. Yeah, I could be using my film camera right now, but no, that doesn't work on Google Plus because Google Plus is apparently way beyond me.
So when you've been listening to Robert's music, right? Have you been listening to it off his rob.com page?
Yeah, I've been listening. I've been trying to listen to it anywhere I could find it. Uh, like I said, you can hear a lot of history in it. I wanted to, bring up Zapp and Roger Troutman and some of the old school type funk because I can really hear the history of just the studying behind it. Even with George's music from last week. or on Wednesday. You can hear the history. He said he's been making music for so many years, and that's one of the differences that I can hear in people is I'm very able to read in between the lines of when I hear something, I don't just hear what they're playing for me. I can hear A, the potential, and B, the history. And it's not something that I don't toot my own horn about it. I don't think it to be this it's not something that's just like a talent or something that's just me. Like anybody can, if you open heart, open mind, if you can, listen and just sit there and go into it and hear something from somebody, you will be able to hear that it's not in tune with the pulse exactly of the mainstream of what's going on now. And usually when it's not in tune with the pulse of the mainstream, it has some sort of history behind it. And somebody actually really found influences and cultures outside of just the comfort zone of putting on the radio and doing whatever. And like I said, I got all these movies in front of me. I got 32 movies by Takashi Miike. My music collection is advanced even further than my movie collection, but yeah, it's all just about his, thinking. DJ Shadow, said something about, if when he's making music and he's digging through vinyl, he used to go through rooms of vinyl that were stacked to the ceiling of just vinyl. And he would have this little space that was like this big that he would walk through. And he would just sit there and search through vinyl. And uh, anybody who's anybody, if you're into that sort of thing and you come upon a room like that, it's not just a treasure trove. It's kind of a sad pile. And one of the things he called it was a pile of broken dreams. And all these people making music, making their records, doing whatever, they do feel they're at the top of their game. They do feel they're living their dream and they're building whatever. And one of the things DJ Shadow said was, if you don't think that you're adding to this pile of dreams, then you're really kind of fooling yourself, because you will be in this room. You will be in that pile. Like that's just that's the fate of all of us. But that's nothing to be sad about. That's nothing to get down about. You know, people discover it, and that's what we want. Is we want to be discovered, and that's hopefully with Network 99. We can build about that. Is helping people get discovered.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, all that's happened in my lifetime is I've gone from being having to send off, um, for cassettes from the Bay Area to having it instantly there. I mean, I can instantly watch your film. Well, not instantly, but within an hour. And that's like you say, that this is through this technical wave that we're on. But as as we were saying in the earlier conversation, it's how you approach it. Are you approaching it from the angle of a hungry ghost, or are you approaching it from an angle of someone who's being a rounded human being and understanding that this is choices. It can be used in a good way and a bad way, like everything in life. It's how you approach things. It's what you do with. It was like we were talking with George about. It's not one of I've always felt one of the things that has been the biggest yoke around the neck of the creative people and artists and stuff is that we're almost told we have to be original, and that we have to be the first ones that ever come up with an idea or a thought or a song or anything we do. Whereas ultimately, there's only ever X amount of chords, there's only so many colours I can paint with, there's only so many words that can be written in so many little lines. There's an infinite amount, and ultimately, we're all born into a world from little babies, and we all just pick up and we just we watch this and we learn that and we learn this and we evolve and we evolve and we evolve, and that just goes on, and it's all about what you do with it. And that's like you were saying to George. I mean, you can take a song and move it on, as they did, and then you take that song and gets moved on by the fold, and then that gets taped on and moved on, and it's only you're doing it for a good intention. You know, someone who's bad intention will just literally do what Vanilla Ice did with Queen, and that's under pressure, and it's that's not for a good way. That's a hungry ghost way. That's a way of looking like I need to fill this hole inside me that will make me consume something more.
Oh yeah, there was I can't remember which rapper it was. It might have been Jay-Z or somebody else, but yeah, they had sampled something and then or no, I think it was a rapper named DJ Quick from California. And he had sampled some song that apparently somebody in India basically said, you took the song completely out of context and you sampled it in a way that it should not have been sampled. And I've totally thought about that when taking, sampling is not something that you should not just steal somebody's music. Like I said, that German word, I believe it's Offenbahn. I'll have to look this up, but to transcend and to preserve, like there's nothing wrong with going back and studying history, studying people before you, learning from them, learning. It's not just the idea of somebody coming out on stage in a wig or in a costume. It's there's a lot more to be learned just from how to be yourself. If you can, to think that throughout this entire world of history and knowledge that me at 29 years old, like I know how to be myself, I know how to be human, nobody else knows. Like what? That's for anybody that's bullshit. you know there's so much to study and so much to learn from people who that's really the only way I think you can build yourself up is to study and to learn and to just observe and to watch and to try and be a part of what has come before you, so that you can give more when you actually go out into the world and try to show people something. You can say, this isn't just me angry in my bedroom upset about my girlfriend. Like, this is me, you know, filled with, this history and this knowledge and these emotions of all these people and, sifting through this pile of broken dreams and trying to add to that pile of broken dreams while at the same time trying to make some sort of life out of it while some at the same time not getting that life out of it while fighting all these things at the same time. And you I don't know, you kind of hope you just get what you put into it, but at the end of the day you don't have time to think about that because you're gonna die, and that's just the way it is. So if you're not adding to that pile, then
Yeah,
you're not adding to that pile. You're just a hungry ghost.
yeah, but it's in the process of. I mean, do you know what I mean? I mean, don't get me wrong. If you're learning an instrument, particularly, we both probably played an instrument of some kind. I mean, if you said to someone it's going to take you 15,000 hours, it can daunt and put them off. But equally, the minute you understand, after an hour, oh, I can do this, and after 2 hours, before you know it, those 15,000 hours can fly by. And it's in the process of doing that you also creating and stuff like this, and that's what I love about. I'm sure when Robert finally does get on, that's one of the things I want to talk to him about because it's the idea that, I mean, like you said before, you never have that boom moment when you're done. I haven't had it yet, and I don't think I'll ever have it. I mean, I don't know if you've ever had it yet, but that in reality that doesn't happen. That boom moment doesn't happen. You still want to go on and do the next one.
But even those people that seem to have that boom moment seem to be the go viral, just kind of getting, and at the same time going viral, it has to have that element of, um, I guess I want to say safety. It has to have that sort of blanket around it that says this is acceptable by everyone because we don't want to talk too heavy. We don't want to get people thinking too much. But, so, you hear the new viral hit and it's usually extremely generic, extremely basic. very, very safe in the fact that it offends nobody except maybe in, a little butt shaking in a music video or something like that. But it's very benign as far as what music has been, what music, is supposedly respected for, and that's just kind of what the mainstream is. Is the very safe, very benign, very easygoing, very safe, very manipulative to the ears because it's I feel like we could put up chords and melodies from 10 years ago, and songs would probably today still be playing the same chords and melodies. I'm sure we've heard "My Heart Will Goes On" by Celine Dion. I'm sure we heard that song 5 years before it came out, and I'm sure we're still hearing it today, just in different forms and different versions. And that's what the mainstream is. It's gonna grab you like that. It's gonna tug on you like that. It's gonna get you to spend your money like that. And somehow you're gonna feel like better for it. And that's fine. I've felt that. I've been there before. I know that sort of unknowing vindication. But at the end of the day, that's all it was. Was it didn't provide me with any answers. It didn't give me a long relief. It was, very short-lived, very in the moment, and kind of like crack or coke, very, just very short. It just 20 minutes later, I'm just kind of like, oh fuck, I almost need to listen to that song again because I'm back in that place.
Well, it was, yeah. I mean, like I was saying earlier on, it's the brutal strawberries. It's the instant pleasure. That's it's intrinsic. It's part of human nature. We are. There's not. It's not an accident that cocaine is as popular as it is because it taps into something that we all like as human beings. It's the same with all these pleasures. They tap into a part of the human nature that is intrinsically part of us. We like the instant pleasure. We love that moment. It makes us feel good. It makes us feel alive. That is the essence of being alive, isn't it? That I haven't got any stresses and I'm in a pleasure zone.
No, and it's not. This day and the way technology advances, we're so far ahead of ourselves that it's not hard to tap into that emotion. I was saying to somebody not that long ago, you play a y- you put up a few images of a flower blooming, a baby being born, and the sun rising, and put behind it Louis Armstrong's "What a Wonderful World," and all of a sudden, people are commenting like, "This is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen." Like, amazing images. Like, I can't believe it. Like, you know what? Like, this is. I know. We all know that these things are, fairly amazing, and but throw them together and throw that sappy song behind it. And I love that song. I love Louis Armstrong, but you throw that song behind it, and all of a sudden everybody in the room from 5 years old to 90 years old is just suddenly like, life is beautiful, oh god. And that is kind of the power of music and images. And that's kind of why I feel like a filmmaker or a music maker, anybody on a microphone, you have to treat certain things with a lot of respect, and you cannot just goad your audience like that by showing a baby being born, a flower blooming, the sun setting, and then play Louis Armstrong behind it, because it's too easy, and there's no outcome from it. There's no relief. There's no push. It's just, oh my God, babies, flowers, life. Oh. To me, I mean, once again, I'm gonna draw one of those lines. It's like the Dalai Lama. Seriously, the Dalai Lama never worked a fucking day in his life. So how is he going to tell me about enlightenment or day to day? I know about the caste system, the tier system, the bullshit that goes on over there. And I'm not going to say that what happened was okay or any of that. But at the same time, for someone to tell me, on my own, personally, from the deepest of my heart, I will live for anyone. I will do anything I can for anyone. I will make you smile no matter how much it hurts me, okay? That's just who I am and what I do. For someone like the Dalai Lama, who has never worked a day in his life and has, the poor peasant villagers from his town growing his food and giving him everything that they have so that he can live in a palace and tell them, oh, live by the heart, live by this, live by that. Like, you know what? Fuck you. Get in the trenches and then try to say that to me. Because I'm there and I'm saying the same things you are, but I'm living it. Every day is a struggle, every day is a fight. What are you doing? You're in fancy robes. You have the incense, and maybe I'm being generic, maybe I'm being whatever. But what it comes down to is he was never out there pushing the fields. And the thing is that we are there. Everyone is out there pushing the fields, but there are so many people that are on pedestals, and so I will call him out because a lot of people want to quote him, and say whatever. And I'm sorry, but actions speak louder than words. And if you just want to
It's
hang out with Richard Gere and you just want to hang out with Courtney Cox and David Arquette and Hollywood actors and get your donations from them, if you want the FBI to actually tell you like fuck you, we're not paying for your hotel bills anymore because you rank up hardcore room service bills and stuff like that, like that is just absurd and ridiculous. And to think that those are the Russell Brands that are out there, trying to tell people that you know their eyes are closed and they need to open them. But that's what it is, though, is the people that live that posh lifestyle, that live that literally you have no reason physically to be upset about anything, and yet you're the ones out there telling people that we should do this, do that, be happy, whatever. Like, while your message is good and while I believe it and while I support it, I don't believe in you and I don't support you, and I really just think you're fake and full of shit. And Russell Brand, fuck you, come on the show.
Mate, it's as simple as I wrote this song when I was in my 20s, and I want this. It's a simple line: "Go, but don't follow me." Yeah, do you know what I mean? That's the trouble with our world. We've got too many idols. If we're being real, man, there's times with me it feels really uncomfortable to me to see all these people walking around with like um, Maiden t-shirts or AC/DC t-shirts. You see these little, the girls all parading around in their AC/DC t-shirts. Thinking, I took so much shit for that back in the day, and now you're all walking around with these glitter AC/DC t-shirts. There's something wrong in all that.
Well, no, like you said, that whole I think we talked about it before, that stiff upper lip mentality, like that sort of bullshit. Just kind of whatever it is. And like I said, it's not about the message, okay? Anybody can say a good thing. A pedophile can tell you the meaning of life, and it doesn't really matter about the messenger. It really is about the message. But at the same time, when people want to come to me and say, the Dalai Lama said this, and I'm like, you know what? I really don't give a shit what the Dalai Lama said. Like, if you want to just tell me the message, I'll go ahead and interpret that and make it into my life. But at the same time, like, I have a book. I've read books by the Dalai Lama. I think one was called A New Leaf. I have it somewhere probably around here, but yeah, I read that one. All the messages in it, great. I mean, amazing. Amazing messages. Live by this, do this, people, 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 whatever. At the same time, study the person, study the life. I think he just said something too, like there's not going to be another Dalai Lama. Like, oh, what? Like you're the top of the Dalai Lama chain? Like, I don't get this. Like, I thought that's what the Dalai Lama was. I thought you were incarnation or some or reincarnation. Like, I don't understand this. Like, yeah, I'm top Dalai Lama. Sorry, y'all's fucked after me, 'cause Bodhi tree, and after that, it's done. Like, that's kind of what I hear in my head is just kind of this mishmash of words that doesn't make sense and just comes out very unclear, and I'm just left staring like, I want to love you, but I'm sorry, you're not making any sense to me. It's very one-sided. It's very do as I say, not as I do. Because obviously, if we all lived like the Dalai Lama, even the Buddha, even Buddha, first thing he did on the road to enlightenment was leave his family and leave his wife and leave his kid. I mean, man, just think of that life. Think of that world. If every single person was like, you know what? I'm Buddha. I'm about to be Buddha. you know, what a world that would be. It would be such a topsy-turvy, just, total mind fuck. But at the same time, people are passing around their memes of Buddhism and enlightenment. And, it's great on the surface. The message is what it is. But I don't know, to follow it as a whole, to believe that these people are on these pedestals they don't prove themselves to be it. That's just me, maybe.
No, you're right, but that what what you said then was exactly right. When the Buddha's first step, like you just mentioned, was to cut those people out of your life, and that rounds with what we were saying in the beginning of the film about about ill manners. It's all about the choices you make, and I think I think one of it is, but one of the vital things we all have to do sometimes is cut people out of our lives. Those forces in our lives that the negative forces are what the forces that want to, as we mentioned at the beginning of this conversation, the forces that come into your life and say, you shouldn't do that, you don't want to do that, and want to put you down. It's good to get rid of those people. That is enlightenment because you're cutting out the negative out of your life, and that's only a good thing.
Yeah, I said that on Twitter. I can't remember, probably 5, 6 months ago. I said something like, if you're really on Twitter and you kind of see the way people talk, a lot of the stuff is in social media in general. A lot of it is people talking about, lost love or, just reflecting on those sort of bad times. But at the same time, it's just kind of like, why are you doing that? What is the point of you taking to social media to constantly all generically sort of reflect on these I'm sure one day he'll think about me, or I mean, we all level hallmark kind of, I'm not trying to connect with anybody, I'm just you know dwelling on this idea that I will live forever. And I don't know. It is what it is, and people are what they are. But I think at the same time, they're not. I think I don't know. I think there's just a lot of societal and political ties that people, we get webbed into, we get weaved into, and we sort of, it's very hard to get out of that. It's very hard to break that. It's very hard to see, with it's not they live. We don't live in. Sadly, we don't live in that movie where we can just put on those eyeglasses and instantly make that click and be like, oh fuck, oh shit, oh fuck. It actually takes time. It takes a lot of thinking, a lot of talking, a lot of sinking in, and it's a total mind fuck, and it's like the worst drug ever because it lasts and it never leaves and it's always there, and all you can do is just keep going and hopefully um, I don't know, gravitate towards people who have been on the same drug as you and, see the same things as you and, recognize that the world is what it is, but it's not the way that it has to be. And it's not the way that by any means it should be. I mean, you can easily, like I said, 100 years from now, barbaric. We're going to be considered barbarians. And if you can't open up a newspaper and see that, you've got to be kidding yourself. Absolutely have to be kidding yourself.
Hey Rob, can you hear us? Rob, can you hear me at all? Can you hear me? No, he's in trouble. Oh man,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. It's so true though, but you know what I mean? So true. Because all you hope for in your life is just that, I don't know. You hope that all you can hope for is that the people. I think some of the things you know we talked about before. I mean, that's you hope that the people that are on this and are being real, all the things you just mentioned there. You just hope that they do keep with it, and we don't sort of wake up to headlines of people being, you know, lost along the way. I mean, that's one of the things I'm really excited about next week to talk to Rachel about, because I think it's. Do you know what I mean? You know, I don't want to lose any more friends. I've lost.
Obviously, Tim, I know exactly what you mean, but no, I think that is why people get lost along the way is because um, they feel like they don't belong. They feel like they don't. And when I say they, I kind of mean we, as in myself included. Um, you know, you see the inner workings of everything, and you kind of wake up and you realize it's a cultural thing. It's only in the part where I live at. It's not necessarily what's happening across the world. It's not exactly what's happened before. It's not exactly what's going to happen after. It's just kind of what's happening now. And people sort of adhere to these invisible rules, these invisible lines that sort of don't exist except in our minds, and we constantly gravitate towards them. And I think they just provide us with some sorts of some sense of security. And you know, who's not for security? Who's not for happiness? Who's not for, you know, who's not for any of that stuff? You know, we're all for that. But you know, some of us we can't live in that sort of nonsensical state. One of the things actually I've been meaning to write was actually a monologue uh, for this kind of story idea I had of basically somebody being yelled at by a cop for being in a sort of broken down, condemned area, which is no trespassing, but at the same time he's there. And the cop sort of, you know, he starts bitching into him, you know, why are you here? Why are you doing this? And the guy has no other explanation for him other than, you know, this bullshit, jagged, crumbling architecture attracts me, and this is where I want to be, and this is where I want to hang out. And I'm not necessarily breaking the law or doing anything bad, but at the same time, you're making me the bad guy just because I, you know, as a person, don't feel like I belong at the beach, or I don't belong at the arcade or the dance hall or you know, the bar, wherever people are hanging out. You know, you feel that need to just go to wherever, and all of a sudden there's these bullshit rules that say you're a criminal, you are a suspect, you for some reason are subject to questioning, and you know, just ridiculous stuff that it's like, when it comes down to the non-aggression idea that I love so much of, you know, are you disrespecting anything, are you doing anything, like absolutely not. But at the same time, somebody feels the need to enforce this law, which is just kind of BS and ridiculous, doesn't make any sense, whatever, it is what it is. But yeah, I think it's just those societal ties that people fall into, and I think the ones, you know, I think a lot of people do get lost and do fall through the spaces of those webs. And, you know, easily I could have been one of them. But and I can't offer answers to anybody, but I think that's just what happens is we build up this whole world of like, you know, this is how we're supposed to live, this is how it's supposed to go, and so many of us just see it as, you know, it's not set in stone. Why are we doing this? But everyone is just, you know, 90% of the world is just so adamant, and so, you know, we know what's right for you. We're gonna keep you safe. We're here to look out for you, big guy. And then, you know, a lot of us just kind of get lost in that background, and we feel uncommunicative. We don't know how to talk. We don't, you know, every time we feel like we do talk, it kind of gets just, you know, becomes jargon, becomes mishmash. Nobody really hears it, and yeah, people want to be understood, and I think it's very hard in this world to say, I see these webs that we weave and I can't play it and I don't want to be a part of it. And I think a lot of people just think of that as, very weird and very distant. But at the same time, there's nobody closer than us. And that's kind of why we fall through these webs and why we feel so much and why a lot of good people get lost is we don't have, I don't know, we just don't have a means. And that's kind of one of the struggling points of uh, being one of us and hanging out with the Yeti.
Well, it, I mean, I think it's one of the things of it's, and as long as you can do anything, and man, we've all been at those points. I mean, I'm not. We've all been, and the friends I've had who passed away from suicide. You just wish that they'd just done something, play the piano, write a tune, draw something. I don't know, go out in the garden and make some mad sculpture out of your hands and mud. Anything that will push you beyond that moment of pulling your cord or jumping off a bridge or something. Because it's just wrong. I mean, it's one of the things that I think what's pulled me to the age I have and has pulled you to the age you have is for me it was writing it down. I wrote it all down, put it all on the page, and walked away, and I'm still here today.
Easily, easily, easily.
Do you know? It's,
But I think, like you were saying, just go out and play, build something in the mud or whatever. And, I would totally see that as something like, what, that's go out and do it. And I need to do it. At some point, I'm sure we all need to do it. And then there are some people that, uh, the reason you kind of do it is, it keeps you from jumping off that bridge. It keeps you from being that guy. And I mean, I've talked to you before about perspective and, having to hide, people, I told you before that people, around here, a lot of people cut themselves and there's, they're called cutters. And, one of the things I used to do was hit myself because I, obviously it wouldn't draw that sort of attention. And that's kind of why people don't around here go out and play in the mud, is because they don't want to draw that attention. They're kind of seen as, something's wrong with him or he's doing this or he's doing that. But at the same time, it is that thing that's keeping you off that bridge. And so many people don't understand that struggle and that whole perception. If you go out and you play in the mud like that, you know what you're doing. You really do not want other people to see it, but at the same time, it's the whole tree falling in the woods thing. If nobody sees you doing it, then you're not doing it. If you're not setting some sort of example to say, how upset or how pissed off you are, people think that you're happy. And people think that you want to keep going and that you want to live. And, it's I don't know. You really have to play that whole perception level of how much do I want people to know about me? How much do I want people to ride with me or hold my hand as I go through hell? Do I really want them there with me? Do I want them to, know what I know? God knows I don't want them to know what I know. So am I willing to take them there? Not really, because I don't want to be there. I don't want to take them there with me. But at the same time, you wake up, you're there, it happens. And like I said, I think people just, when you talk outside of those societal webs of, I'm a man, I feel tough, I feel like this, when you can't feel like that anymore, you do fall through those cracks. I saw Robert there for a minute, outside of my rant.
Now, I hope you can see me. I can't tell you how many times this thing kicked me out.
I can hear you. I can see you too. I don't know if Tim can.
Yeah, I heard and saw you. It was so poetic because you said, I don't know how many times it's kicked me out. Oh man. Do you know what it reminds me of, man? Did you ever watch the PJs, Eddie Murphy's little animations? Did you used to?
I think I saw like a few seconds of it. I didn't see much of it.
It just reminds me of that because all that was is that there was nowhere in New York that would ever have a TV signal for about more than a minute. It was a constant joke through the program. It's so true. The pro.
That's how it is. The more people there are, the less connection there is.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, this bit here. Do you know what I mean? I bet I bet you. I'll tell you something though. I bet you have quicker connection in the Hamptons than you do in Brooklyn.
Well, I'm amongst the cornfields and I'm on a shitty, probably 8-year-old, 10-year-old laptop, and I'm a good 20 to 30 feet away from my internet connection, and I still have a good connection compared to New York.
Oh man, it's just
I
it
think
was.
I think the corn transfers the Wi-Fi better. I don't know. Maybe the cows.
Exactly, man. Exactly. I don't know what happened there because he was definitely there for a moment. I'm so eager to talk to him as well. Robert, I'm so eager to talk to you. There's so many questions I want to know. Like, why do you only, what led you to only have no vocalists? A man who plays only his instrument. What a step that is. What a brave step that is. I love it. These are the questions, Robert, I want to ask.
Well, hopefully we can do something Wednesday.
Here we go. Here we go.
I'm looking at the group chat log here, Tim, and I don't know. I'm an optimist and a pessimist, and somebody told me that that means I'm a realist. So
It's all part of the show, man. It's all part of the ride.
I'm ready to get up and do it. I don't know. Hopefully I'm gonna be filming tonight some music video stuff. Me dancing with sparklers.
Exactly, man. It's all choices. Everything in life is. Hey, Robert. Here we go. The stage is all Robert's for Heath. Can you hear me, Robert? Oh man, I'm so eager to talk to you, sir, Robert. We were just talking about the process of making music by ourselves, and here we are talking to ourselves. Oh, Robert, I'm so eager to talk to you, my man. Ah, it's,
Fucking Skynet.
I'm not getting a steady signal what's going on in the hangout. So you,
NSA, knock it off, all right? We're just trying to have a hangout.
Yeah, man. It's all about the love here, man. It's all about the love. NSA. Dear me.
Oh, you know what? If this was a beheading, there would be no lag. All right,
It,
think about that.
exactly, man. That's unreal.
Kind of makes you think, like, something's going on. Like, I don't remember seeing any lag during any of these terrible atrocities, but apparently, you know, me and you talking, Robert trying to log on. Apparently, that's just
Too much. Yeah,
yeah, that's
exactly, man. Exactly. So anyway, going back to the kind of, do you think on the end of Vale Manners, this is a question I was asking at the beginning. Do you think he grassed him up or not? Do you think it was him that grassed him up?
do I think who
Your main man.
what do you,
Does he? Is he at the end? Is he running away because he's told the police that he's inside information, or is he just running because he's had enough?
I think he was just running because he had enough. I think he was ready to just, go to another place, start over. As far as his story went, like that was kind of fairly. I don't know. I found it to be kind of cut and dry, but at the same time, he wasn't a. I don't think he. He was. I guess he was kind of the main character, but at the same time, it wasn't a main character driven movie. Obviously, I felt for him. I felt for a lot of the other characters, but at the same time, if when I just tried to describe it the other night to somebody, I was telling them, my friend Tim sent me this awesome movie called Ill Manners, and I watched it, and I think you guys would like it. And I wouldn't even say like, it's a movie about this guy, and he goes out and tries to do this, and you know what I said, like it's kind of like City of God, where it's just there's a lot of stories that just intersect each other, and it's not about one person. It's not about the one life, and I think that's kind of what that is what N99 is about. Is it's not about the one person. It's not about us trying to showcase a 50 Cent or a Jay-Z or to try to build ourselves up around anybody. If anything, I feel like Ceiling Demons are kind of logo, our kind of our go-to group, our main anthem. Because and you know what, I easily, as far as an image goes, I would totally fall behind them. They would easily be the one that I would say, what, so far what they've said, like we've talked about, so egoless, so uh, uh, disassociated from the self, and just so into everyone in the world and just how the people are. And I know I'm holding the Yeti right here and it looks ridiculous while I'm talking, but this is that's just the craziness of people like us, is we can get so serious and at the same time be so detached, because it's not an over dramatized thing. It's not some sort of being oversensitive. It's our way of life. We're goofy, we're eccentric, we feel too much, but at the same time we feel like we feel too little, and we feel like the world feels too little. We look around and we see things, and everything's it's supposed to be this way, it's supposed to be that way, but at the same time we don't see it as that. We see it as everything being different and everything being unique and cultured and centered around history and preserving and just unity in general. And at the same time, I go down the street and that's not what I see. I go across, the state. That's not what I see. I go across the country. It's not what I see. I go across. I'm sure, I have a friend in a very pretty lady in Istanbul who, said something about Turkey, and she said it's kind of getting ugly here, and I said something like, it's getting Western, isn't it? And she was like, you know what, it is. It's getting very Western over there. It's getting, very asymmetrical and very kind of square and bland and malls and this and that. Whereas, she's in the middle of Turkey, Like, that should be an amazingly beautiful cultural historical place. And to think that it's becoming westernized, and I'll even go as far as to say bastardized. You know, we have a lot. The houses on my block, everything looks the same. I go down the street, everything looks the same. That shouldn't be the way it is. I don't feel like that's the way it should be. But at the same time, apparently everybody kind of falls into this thing of that's the way it should be. Meanwhile, like we've talked, a lot of people are going and dying and doing whatever and just kind of disappearing and fading and being lost in these societal cracks. Meanwhile, everything looks the same and everything is very modernized, quote unquote.
Hey Rob, can you hear me? I can see. Is it Ryan? Can you see Robert? I can see Robert, and I can. I think I can hear him. Robert, can you
I've
hear
seen
me?
him I've seen him a couple times. I only see his avatar right now. I see his avatar twice right now.
Oh,
But
yeah. I've got him up twice as well. No. Who knows? Who knows?
can I advertise hummus right now?
You can advertise anything you like. That and your ham. The Stealing Demons ham.
First things first, hummus. God, I love hummus. Go out and eat hummus. Hummus is amazing. Second thing, ham. It's there. If you need it, go out and eat it. That's it. That's from the people. That's from the people at the Council of Ham. See, I had this discussion with Tim where I said there's a thing about advertising where there's something with ham where they only feel the need to advertise once a year over here, and that's usually around Thanksgiving. And it's basically a commercial of a picture of a ham, and it just kind of says, "Ham, yeah, we're there too." And then the commercial ends, and that's basically it. Just kind of a reminder, and to think of Coke and Pepsi spending millions of dollars every single day on some sort of celebrity advertising, some sort of BS Super Bowl commercial or whatever, and then there's ham, and you've never forgotten ham. Not a, I'm sure a day goes by that you have not thought about ham or a ham and cheese or something like that. And all they have to do is advertise once a year with just ham, yeah, we're there, whatever. And then they walk away. We all know it's there. Coke, Pepsi, Mountain Dew, McDonald's, all that jazz. We know it's there. We don't need the millions of dollars. Please stop. Advertise Robert Leach, at least. Like, Arby's, please.
Exactly.
Somebody, anybody. Like, quit playing this crap.
Exactly. Put some of that Fat House funk on, man.
Might as well. They go to, generic. It's you're getting Arby's, you're getting McDonald's, Burger King, whatever. You can't expect the music to be too spectacular, but at the same time, you're McDonald's, you're Burger King. Step outside of the box, Christ.
Well, I mean, it's one of the things I'm dying to talk to Robert about as well. What you were just talking about then. I mean, man, I was going to ask Robert what, if any extent, the gentrification of where the neighbourhood he's based in, Brooklyn's, because it's exactly what you just said. It's this banal crap that just comes in and destroys whole neighbourhoods. And what you're just saying then, it's almost like the machine, the beast that just never knows an ending. It just goes on. There's never too many McDonald's. There's never enough Pepsi. There's never enough Coca-Cola. There's never enough, is there? These people want to go on and on and on. And they just destroy whole neighbourhoods and historic places, like you were saying, in their wake. Especially in Brooklyn.
Well, really anywhere. I mean, across the world. Like, so many people are just traveling because they see that, oh, they've got a McDonald's? Well, they must be cultured. But at the same time, we're over here looking at, the pink slime burgers and the propaganda that they, portray behind all of this nonsense. And at the same time, that is what, a lot of people associate themselves to and make themselves available to traveling the world. They're like, oh, I can go to India now because I know they have McDonald's. Like, oh, please give me a fucking break. Like this.
But mate, I mean, it's like if you can imagine, I mean, for someone like you, sat in America. I mean, I don't know what your impression of northern cities are like, but Leeds particularly was an industrial northern city, and all they're trying to do is trying to make this. It could be in any city in the world right now. It's got Starbucks. It'll have a KFC, it'll have a Mackie D's, and it's the same. It's seen as that is what the what we should all become. If you've got a Starbucks, you've made it. If you've got a Costa Coffee, you made it. And it's like, when did that happen? You know,
I've never had a Starbucks. I
same here,
honestly
same
don't
here.
want a Starbucks. I don't have the money. I don't have the dollars. I don't have the quid. I don't have anything for fucking Starbucks. Like, I'll make my own goddamn coffee. Like, I honestly I bought an espresso machine off of eBay for I think like 20 bucks, and I use that thing. I love it. I don't need to spend the money on the Starbucks. It's nothing special to me. Oh my God, over here, I swear to God, Tim, it's October, so everything is like pumpkin spice. Everything has to taste like pumpkin. Everything. It's fucking disgusting. Like, and it's not even real pumpkin. It's fucking artificial bullshit. So, I can go to Starbucks literally, I think I have one a mile away from me, 2 miles away from me, and I could get some sort of, pumpkin foamy diarrhea latte. Like, I don't need that bullshit. Like, if I want to go buy a pumpkin, I'll go buy a pumpkin. But over here, it's like, oh, it's October. Let's fill everything with pumpkin because people are stupid and they don't know what a pumpkin tastes like. So they need pumpkin latte, they need pumpkin soda, they need pumpkin pie, they need pumpkin this, they need pumpkin that. Oh man, everything really is just kind of shoved down our throats. And like you just showed me the other day, you got a Christmas card. It's fucking October and you got a Christmas card. Like, that is the world. There's so like, oh, Tim Cooper, we want to buff and shower your carpet again. Merry Christmas. We love you.
We love you.
you just kind of you just kind of stare at it like, who the fuck are you kidding? Like, this is such a joke. And they still send that stuff out. I get people that follow me on Twitter that are just, it's so ridiculous. It's like, you'll get followers. You want 2,000 followers? Pay us $20. Like, God, like, really? You really want to follow me like that? Like, I can't even believe that you're real. Like, this is nonsense. Like, it's just crap. And then other people that it's the pseudo politics. So then they start posting and promoting these other websites like I'm sure everybody's seen them, but when it says something like 10 celebrities that you wouldn't believe what they look like without makeup, and you end up clicking through all of them, and there's so many of them, but these accounts follow you on Twitter. You believe them to be real people, and the stuff that they post is stuff like this, like uh, oh, like check out the history of Jennifer Lawrence, and you don't even want to click on it. It's not even real people. It's just this nonsense that I don't understand how somebody is apparently making money off of this, or apparently making some sort of purpose for going on Twitter and just posting this bullshit, these fake websites of just lists of really, really sort of mundane, dumb things, and I'm guilty as anyone of clicking on them. But at the same time, they still keep posting them, and somebody's making money off it. I don't understand that world where it comes from, where people are just like, yeah, I can post these things, people will click on it, we'll get money, whatever. I kind of believe it to be just this faceless, weird robot symmetry that these people are all just kind of robotically talking to each other and nobody's actually gaining anything. I don't know, but every day, I have to go out there and try and promote myself, promote my movie, and these are the things I see are other people promoting this really bullshit nonsense, and I see how many retweets they get, how many favorites they get, how many people love them, how many people like them. People even comment on them. It's a robot. I can see that it's a robot, and people are commenting to it, like trying to get this robot's favorite, trying to get this robot's love and this compassion. Social media, technology, fucking weird, man. I live in the fucking cornfields and I know nothing about corn. But at the same time, when I go into social media and I see these things, oh my god, it's mind-boggling. I cannot believe what is happening, and how many people are willing to just go out there and comment and talk to a fake robot that is obviously not real and not going to comment back to you, not going to communicate with you. But people feel, it, like I said, it's this universal struggle. I don't mean to laugh at it because I'm guilty as just as anybody else, but it's a universal struggle. It's something with all of us. And the fact that somebody feels the need to talk up to a robot, I'm guilty as that just as they are. But it is this world, and it's extremely strange and fast and constantly changing, and just like I said, a lot of people fall through those cracks, and that's just kind of how it happens. And it's sad to see it, but I don't know. It's a fast, fast world.
But in reality, I'm sure nothing has changed. I'm sure if you went back to, you know, ancient Babylon times or before into Sumeria, and human beings have always had that. We've had that urge to extend our boundaries, communicate and connect with, and part of that communication, as like you said, is your first step in that is trying to get some attention. And one of the easiest things you can say to get attention is say, "Oh, the man or the female or the person that you admire most," and point out hypocrisies about them. That gets you attention. And this is, I'm sure, as many as people say, "Oh, we live in a very shallow culture," and we're all gossipy, and what you just described on Twitter and social network. I mean, it's no different. I imagine if you'd gone back to Roman times, it would be exactly the same. I mean, it's just a part of, to me, part of the human, as I said before, the human experience is we like to communicate with each other, and the only way you've got to communicate is, even if it's to a robot, it's some form of communication. It's just a shame that, like I said before, that there are people out there that instead of working away and trying to build their own creative element or trying to tap into something of themselves, or they go for the easy answer, and they go for the, I'm going to put out 10 naked celebrities, or, oh look, here's, or talk like you said earlier on. I'll talk and get wound up. I mean, shit, same over here. People over here get so wound up by football over here. It's unreal. But then you think, it's unreal, but it's also a part of what I was saying. Humans have have an urge to connect with each other. So if you can go out and say something that's the most ridiculous, outlandish thing, like you said about Alex Jones at the beginning of the podcast, you're going to get attention, and that attention is what ultimately is that ego part of us that we're all screaming in the dark because we know we're going to die.
No, that is what it is. We are, I'm screaming in the dark. That's kind of what I said about doing a spoken word. You are the lion's growl against the silence. When you go to paint something against a white canvas, it's you're not thinking it. It's really not a part of you, but it's you versus the canvas, and you're just kind of destroying that canvas, and you're destroying that white. And as a spoken word, you're destroying that silence, and you're just shredding it and tearing it into new life, into new forms. And things that have been unseen because each individual, we are unique. We are in that form of, what I say or what I feel or how I express myself or how I show myself is going to be different than how somebody else does it. But at the same time, that's not saying that the message is any different. And I don't think the message is really ever that different. I think the overall theme of a lot of what people do is kind of the same thing, but I think the way that we do it is we show it, we express it in different forms. And I don't think those forms are ever, I don't think they should ever be bounded or chained or, I don't think those forms should be said, this should be done this way, this should be done that way. You shouldn't fucking paint with that color, Tim, because that color, it's bullshit. Nobody should tell you, anything as far as, what should be done, what shouldn't be done, because as a person, as an artist, you're your own critic. You go through your own fucking hours of just nonsense and self hysteria of going through and thinking, is this perfect? Is this right? Is this whatever? And then after all of those hours, for somebody to go through and kind of nitpick you, you know, it's I really don't do that anymore. I totally respect people for what they do because it's different from how I would do it. And I think that's the kind of problem with a lot of critics is they think this, well, I wouldn't have done it that way. Well, you know what? You're not the fucking artist. Like you're just someone looking at it and saying, whatever. We are all critics, but we don't have the pen and the voice to necessarily get our critiques out there into the world. Unless nowadays we start some sort of blog, we get a bunch of people following us, believing in us, whatever. But at the same time, even your hardest, greatest critic, what the hell do they know? They're just as human as any of us. They're just as infallible as any of us. Like, it's not a matter of critiquing. It's just a matter of seeing, is somebody being real or are they being fake? And I think it's extremely easy to see if somebody's being real or being fake. And to me, there's almost not a line between it. It's just a matter of what are you doing this for? Are you doing this for you? Like I said on the, I think the last podcast or the podcast before that, it's a matter of what you would do on a secluded island. If you were by yourself, how would you be acting? How would you be living? How would you be creating? If I would not be changing anything that I would be doing if I was on a secluded island. And I can see from you, I can easily see from your paintings, Tim, that if you were on an island, you would be painting just the same way as you are now. You know, we do it for not just ourselves, but we do it for everyone. And a lot of people don't, and I don't think a lot of people do it as that sort of secluded island ideal. They do it as this, I'm doing it for an audience. I want people to think I'm cool. I want this emotion to come off a certain way. And that's one of the things that, artists just have to deal with is perception and how you're going to create, how you're going to be perceived, and how other people are going to create, how they're going to be perceived, which sadly, those people kind of, become your enemies as an artist. Because if you see somebody doing something that you did, but you see them trying to do it for a profit, you feel, you have to kind of compete against them, which is just, it's crap because you're competing for emotions, you're competing for money, you're competing for everything, and it's just it's a cycle and it's brutal and you have to deal with it, and it's just these things that hinder the creative process because you can't do necessarily what you want to do because you're so worried about what other people are doing. And that's kind of I don't know, as far as being egoless, like I love people and I love what they do and I try to build off myself and what they do, and people are going to take me far beyond what I can do. It's not just going to be me versus the world. I know it's not that. Like nobody can take on the world by themselves. If you don't have the history and culture behind you, you're just kind of being frivolous, I think, and thinking that you can tackle everything by yourself. without the knowledge and the history of people that have come before you. And it's just like Bill Hicks said, you know, all the hearts and minds collected nowadays, but hey, you know what? What's that one person right here saying? You know what? It really doesn't matter unless they have that heart and the mindset behind them. And like I keep saying, history, present, future, all that has to kind of be taken into context.
Well, yeah. I mean, it was the point I was trying to make earlier on about how there are so many forces at work against us. Like whether we just, whether it's even just us trying to point out earlier on, whether it's just the force of being as an artist, whatever your field is, whether you're looking at a piano or you're looking at six strings on a guitar or you're looking at, making, images into fit into a film, or like I said, me and a canvas. It's, it can even be saying as you have to be original all the time. Well, you can't be original. You just have to do what you go out there and just go, do you know what? I'll do what I like doing. And if I finish it and when I'm done it, I'm happy with what I've done, then that's all that's important because the rest of it is opinions of everybody else, and you're never going to please everybody, and you're never going to. You may never please anybody. And maybe one of your things as an artist, whatever your creative element is, and you go, well, I don't want to please anybody. I will just go along and I will just do this, regardless. And hey, all power to you, because if that's what's inside of you, then you have to do that because we're all going to die.
Well, even like in Bad Ideas, I can think of some shots that I don't want to say I stole from other directors, but I definitely paid homage to some of the people. That first shot with the bartender and the alchemist, where he kind of you don't hear anything, but the bartender kind of goes up and whispers something into the alchemist's ear, and then the alchemist comes at the camera. Like that shot, I kind of got from. I'm looking down right now at my collection. Takashi Miike's City of Lost Souls. He actually kind of had this weird shot where a character was looking at the villain character. The villain character was kind of talking to an underling, and as they were talking, they both kind of looked up at the camera as if they knew this guy were listening. And so I don't want to say I stole the shot, but I thought of Takashi Miike and how much he impressed me as far as filmmaking went, and really pushed me to keep doing what I was doing. And so I kind of wanted to pay homage to him. And when I see those two shots of his and mine side by side, it I really feel extremely proud of it because I love the movie that I made and I love everything about it. But at the same time, I can see that history behind it. That just that one shot, which I think is a pretty impressionable shot. I think it's an image that really kind of sticks with you just when you see them talking, and then they kind of just sort of turn to you and look evil, and it's black and white, and it was really kind of just crazy when I was putting it together. But I was like, I really want to Takashi Miike made such an impression on me. I really want to put this in there and just kind of extend that. Just the fact that when I talk about my movie, I can talk about Takashi Miike, just to bring up his name and to hopefully bring it to some other generation of filmmakers or people who just want to be involved in movies or love movies in general, just to go out and see his name. That really is one of the people that influenced me. And so much so that I had this image and I had this shot in my mind, and I was like, I have to fucking do this. I have to put that in there. Like, and hopefully one day I hope he sees it and I hope he loves it and I hope he recognizes that I stole it from him. But at the same time, I was like, I'm not stealing ideas. I'm not stealing necessarily anything except the fact of two characters kind of silently looking at each other and then looking at the camera. But I know that, and maybe someone will pick up on it someday and actually see the two movies kind of side by side and be like, oh wow, that's what he did. But that's kind of what it is, though, is Offenbahn, transcending and preserving. I've studied people who not I don't study people that are selfish and thinking that they are themselves. I study people who study people and who those people studied other people. And it's just this chain link of, history and film and cinematography and, that just kind of became my thing. I fell into it. But at the same time, they did their history. I can watch them, I can see their history. All of a sudden, what I create becomes a part of that history, and I'm adding to that pile of broken dreams that I had mentioned before about DJ Shadow. And I can actually feel very vindicated and very uh, obsessively proud of myself to the fact that I, made this movie, and at the same time, I can see the history in it. I actually have awards that I can attribute to myself to say that I have seen the future of what can be done with it, and at the same time, built a movie that people in the present can understand and get behind. And I mean, I think that's what everybody wants, and I think that's what everybody fights for. And we want an audience, we want to be heard, but you know we want to go on, we want to build, and that's just what I do, and that's why I'm here with Network 99 and Tim and Life is People, and hopefully Robert, who probably won't try to join
Who's,
again.
who's just
Oh,
joined?
he's trying to join.
I don't know. I mean, oh man.
I think we just need to do something midweek or something.
Yeah, I think that may be a plan. Yeah, a plan maybe with midweek because I don't know. You know what I mean?
I I think I had a few pretty good rants tonight.
No, it's oh. I saw his face. We did get through. We did get through to New York. We broke through the barrier. No, I think like so right. Do you know what I mean? I think it's at the end of the day, it's. I think if I was going to sort of sum it up in a way of to everyone, it's a, it's about the effort. It's about putting time in, and that's something that if Robert, you can hear me, I'm sure he'd be nodding his head to. Is it's all about the effort you put in. That yeah, be people, go out there, be expressive, be creative. That's you're not short of being told that in society. But what I would say to, from my angle, is put the effort in. Please, people,
Well,
put some effort in. Like you said, make the time. Wake up. Don't just sit in front of that TV. There used to be a program over here when I was a kid. It was called. I don't know how it got on television itself, but it's probably the most ever subversive program ever to get on. It was a kids program, and it was called "Why Don't You?" And the song went at the beginning. Why don't you go switch your TV set off and go outside and do something more, more productive instead of doing it. That was the theme tune. You're like, why don't you switch your TV set off and go off? And it was so true. The switch that thing off, man.
no, that's what's great and also kind of sad about this time period is the the most heartfelt, things to believe in are the most simplistic and basic things. And you can easily look at something and say, either this is real or this is some Hallmark money making bullshit. And just like that theme song, like that's obviously not some, Hallmark money making bullshit. Like that's just simply trying to tell you in as little words as possible go the fuck outside, turn your fucking TV off because you're becoming stupid. Like, if you just go into nature and just, think and live inside yourself for, 2 minutes, you might become a better person. If not, nothing lost. But the simple things are the hardest nowadays, phones,
Yeah,
internet, technology. The simplest things are just, very out of reach.
yep, they are, my man. That's the problem. It's just it's too, like we said before, and it's how you approach it. It's a good thing and a bad thing. You can approach that with a positive energy, slaying positive, as the demons talk about, or you can approach it in a negative way. And if you approach it in a negative way, you get trapped inside you, and that beast will eat you. As we said before, just go and watch enough movies. There's enough movies made about how the beast will eat you. Well, I lost you now, Ryan. Can you hear me?
Well, I'm here. A lot of people think that just movies are movies, and it's just made up. It's just stories. But at the same time, like I've said to you, there's extremely smart people working on every single movie that gets made, and to think that that outcome isn't equal to the amount of work put in is just kind of ridiculous. Until you get into that whole, well, we're going to make money off of this. Well, when you start making money off of it, you start getting stupid. You start really dumbing down things. You start really being generic. But when you got a bunch of people working on a movie, trying to build themselves up, or even music or anything in general, when you always have extremely smart people working up to it, and does the outcome equal the amount of intelligence that is behind it? And I think a lot of times, I think a lot of people are good judges for themselves. I think they know when they go to see Transformers 4 that they know they're seeing a pile of shit. I think when they leave, no matter how much they talk it up, I think they know they've seen a pile of shit. I really do. I don't think they're that stupid that they think that, all these people behind these million-dollar blockbusters are that fucking stupid to make this pile of shit that says nothing and is just a waste of 90 minutes of life. You're gonna fucking die. Alright? Do you want to spend 90 minutes of your life in Transformers 4? I sadly I have to think about those people that died watching that fucking Batman movie and died in that theater, you know? Who wants to go out like that? Watching being whatever. It was mundane. It was like watching TV on a big screen, and people died for it. And that is really just, it's absurd to think that that is just kind of something that happens over here, is that, if I want to go see a movie, I can't see anything that has an intelligence level above 13. And to quote Bill Hicks, if you don't think that we are at a mature level, go watch Who's the Boss and then come back and fucking talk to me. Go watch Big Bang Theory, come back and talk to me, and we can talk about how mature you really are for watching that bullshit. And it's not a matter of me thinking I'm better or me thinking that anybody is better. It's a matter of what's presented to me is fucking bollocks. That's what it is. It's horseshit. And yeah, we fall in line to it. And I'm not saying I don't blame anybody. It's not hard. It's so easy to just be sucked into this stuff, and that's why they make it. That's exactly why they make it.
And no better way to finish the podcast than that fantastic rant. And I'm going to play out to my favourite tune by the Seething Demons, Angry Season, Angry Life. Life is people, people.
Yes, I can now breathe freely, clearly and fresh. And fresh, the unrest leaves me. I say goodbye to awkwardness. Open the So long darkness, the days are soaked in holiness. Good people, good vibes, a new season, a new life. I decide who I want by my side, cure the poisons in my life, and then I realise, and then you realise that the ceiling can be quite high, and there's goodness outside, life and light, not limited to the night sky. We thrive like satellites of love, we're going up, but we might come back for a visit, like April showers cut to blizzards, the winds can swing, cutting your paper with scissors. But for now there ain't no winners, as the sun comes up, a new day rises, playing with lady luck. Being grateful comes first, happiness will follow in due course. I think of you and smile sincere and fragile. The times we spent together, more meaningful than ever, more important that I never realised that they were over before my eyes. Good people, good times. It is alright summertimes. Grateful for this moment in time. The moment is divine. How does it feel to be in paradise? Paradise is alive in your mind, and you are too kind. A new season, a new life. A new season, a new life. Love, revolution and wine. These beautiful moments all combined. Music and images of life. Beautiful people, Lord, outside. Yes, the sun shines. Reach for the skies. Good love, good fun and good times. Friends and family reunite in a united state of mind. Never give up, it's such a wonderful life. And let this wonder guide us all towards the light. Knowing from the heart what is right. The uncertain darkness dies. A new season, a new life. A new season, a new life. Reason to believe in your field of vibes. The ceiling demons are going outside, reaching new heights, shocking your lives, leading the tribe, painting your minds. Our words resonate from inside. The good times rise, smoke the skies. No need for a disguise when the light shines so bright. Eyes are on the prize. A new season, a new life. A new season, a new life. A new season, a new life. A new season, a new life.